Hey there, I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things. Welcome. Today I'm going to put a new chip in my Commodore 64 that was sent to me by a viewer. Shortly after I did the video where I changed out the capacitors in my Commodore 64, I was future-proofing it. I was contacted by Francois, who suggested if I really wanted to future-proof my Commodore 64, it was a good idea to change out the PLA. Well, he told me about the PLAnkton project. That's one that he helped design and one that he sells. He offered to send me PLAnkton chips to put into my Commodore 64. I said, well, of course, and here it is. This has chased me around the country a little bit, but now I can finally put these into my Commodore 64. But before I go taking chips out of my C64, I have to give a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. Are you looking for a place to bring those electronic projects to life? For as little as $5 for 10 PCBs, you can have PCBWay print your circuit boards. But that's not all they can do for you. They also offer assembly services for your PCB, starting for as little as $30. This means you can design your board and have them ship it out already assembled so your project is ready to go when it arrives in your mailbox. Check out PCBWay for all your PCB needs. The first thing is, just what is the PLA chip? Well, it's this chip right here, U17. And PLA stands for Programmable Logic Array. It's a chip that regulates which of the chips on the C64 are allowed to connect with the data bus, allowing only one at a time, preventing a bus conflict. In simple terms, it's the traffic cop of the C64, controlling the flow from all of the chips to the data bus. It is interesting that Francois sent me these PLAnkton PLA replacement chips when he did, because shortly after I talked to him about these, I started having a problem with my C64. It was an intermittent problem. Every now and then when I turned the power on, I would get a black screen. And one of the telltale signs that your PLA has gone bad is a black screen. So because it's intermittent, I think that probably means this PLA may be on its last legs. Hopefully, putting the PLAnkton in will solve that. And what Francois sent me was actually two of them. There's the original PLAnkton on here, and the PLAnkton EV, the newer model of it, released in 2015 for the original, I believe, and 2020 for the updated version. So I'm going to try both of these in here and see how they work. Here is a closer look at the original PLAnkton on top here, and the PLAnkton EV, the updated version, on the bottom. Now, if you want to see a presentation by Francois that was recorded at the World of Commodore 2017 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, that goes very in-depth about the PLAnkton project, I'll link a video by Mindflare Retro that shows most of that presentation. I'll also link to the page that'll show you all of the projects that are currently available from Francois. That's down in the description. So we'll try the PLAnkton first, which means we have to remove the original PLA. And luckily, it is socketed, so there is no need for any soldering here. Make sure we're putting it in the right way. All the pins are straight. There we go. Click it down into place. And the notch up here is at the right end, so looks good. Let's hook this up and try it out. I've got my Kung Fu Flash cartridge here with from Retro Rewind. I have my C64 partially back together for testing the first PLAnkton that I have installed. Now, I have read that a good way to test a PLA is using the Super Zaxxon cartridge. Now, I don't have the Super Zaxxon cartridge, but I do have the Kung Fu Flash cartridge, and I don't think that will work in the same way, but I'm going to try it out anyways. I'm also going to just try out a newer game that I'm a little bit obsessed with on the Commodore 64 right now. So Super Zaxxon, joystick, one player. Seems to be working absolutely fine. As I said, I don't think this is actually working the same way that it does with the actual physical cartridge, but hey, it's playable, so now Empire Strikes Back. And that looks like it's loading up just fine. So it appears that both these games are working perfectly fine with this PLAnkton. One of the things about this PLAnkton and the PLAnkton EV is that Francois did say that it will work in any revision board of the Commodore 64. So I unfortunately cannot test that because I only own one Commodore 64 right now. But if I get more, I will certainly be trying out the PLAnkton in those. Now it is time to remove the original PLAnkton here. And put in the PLAnkton EV. The notches at this end, which goes to this end. Make sure I line up all of the pins. Snap her into place. And it's ready to be tested. And we go straight into the Empire Strikes Back because the Kung Fu Flash cartridge always has the last game you played in its memory. When you boot it up, it automatically goes to the last game you played. Looks like it's loading up fine. And here we go. All right. That seems to be playing just fine. So let's go back to the menu. Super Zaxxon. Other than my playing ability is not very good, this also seems to be working just fine. The PLAnkton EV has found its new home in my Commodore 64, and it is working great. I didn't get to fully test it because obviously I don't have a Super Zaxxon cartridge. Maybe if I can get a hold of one in the future, I can try it out. But so far, everything seems to be working fine. The 2 games I tried on camera worked great. I continued to play games after I stopped filming. They all worked great. Now, my little intermittent black screen problem, I have no idea whether that's fixed. It did not happen today, but as I said, it's intermittent. Sometimes it will go days without it happening, and sometimes it'll happen 10 times in one day. So only time will tell whether that's fixed. But I guess I have to say a big thank you to Francois for the chips, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what you can do. Just like all the other YouTubers say, ring that bell, comment, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Everything and anything you do is always greatly appreciated, and it greatly helps the channel. Alright, well, now that my C64 is hooked up and I have that Kung Fu Flash cartridge from Retro Rewind, I have a whole bunch of games I can play, so I'm going to go do that. See you next time.